Banter Daily Talk Show, episode 390.
What's happening, guys? We've got a guest in the studio.
Luke Kidgell.
Well, I was about to say welcome. Hey, welcome me. Huh?
I've done that so many times when it's people's birthdays, or the classic one is when you have an Uber and you go to the airport and they say, have a nice flight, and you say, you too.
Yeah.
Those fuckers aren't getting on a flight.
It's because I have my own podcast and I'm used to welcoming guests on. I'm rarely a guest. So
Yeah.
I was just like, guys, welcome. Oh, it's not my show.
It's a power move.
It's a different muscle, though, that you have to flex.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're usually...
Like, literally, that was a sick flex. I pretty much came in and started hosting your podcast.
you do a podcast a lot of the time by yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
That's hard, dude.
I agree.
I mean, comedy is a lonely business.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? The first one, obviously, you got to get through. You've done 100.
Yeah, I
And
think I'm
how
up to like
many now?
120, 30 or something like that.
So you're still sticking at it.
Yeah, I got to go do one after this, actually.
And what's the vibe by yourself? What do you prefer?
Oh, I like talking to people more.
Mhm.
But I think it is... Like, there's no other situation in which you can just speak your mind for an hour and people listen. There's
Yeah.
something like fun about no one interrupting, and which means if you have a shit opinion, people will just hate it for 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. Do people actually write in?
downside.
Do you find people will write in if you've said something that they don't agree with?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I did a bit about the weirdest stuff as well. I did a bit about, like, I was talking, I don't know why, I just thought it'd be funny and make fun of people who drive manuals. Now, which is not a demographic you want to make fun of, because people who do drive manuals
Yeah.
like cars.
Yeah.
I was always impressed with the chicks in my
Yeah.
life when I was young who drove manual. I was like, fucking props to you. But for some reason, I was into it. I was into girls who knew how to, I mean, it sounds fucked up.
Yeah, I get it.
You
No,
know
but
to
it's
work a shaft. That's what you were going to say. And then you were like, no.
But it's not even where it was in my mind. It had nothing to do with the,
it's
the
just
long
like
gear
there's something about like the independence of
Yeah.
I can control this whole thing.
Yeah, see, I was trashing manual drivers. I was saying, like, what's the point when cars can do it for you now? Like,
Yeah.
you can't even wank in traffic. I think that was my main point.
Well,
But
here's
I
the
didn't have many good arguments.
here's the reality. If you want to get a Ferrari and you're rich as fuck,
Mm.
you're not getting a manual one. They don't do manual ones.
Really?
Look it
Do you
up.
mean
Is
the
there
other
a,
way?
is
Do you
there a
mean-
manual Ferrari?
Is
No,
it the
they're
other
all
way around?
automatic. They're all either Tiptronic, which is just like you do control the gears,
First
but
time
it's
we've
not.
said Tiptronic
But
on the
it's
show.
you don't have a clutch. A lot of
The
these cars,
last.
so you're
Yeah,
spending
definitely.
$500,000 and you're getting an automatic.
Yeah.
Automatics are actually more expensive or cheaper than manual. One of them's
They're
a
more
lot-
expensive.
more expensive automatic. But
I
now
believe.
most cars are automatics.
Mm.
Like heaps of the family cars. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm all about automatics now.
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone is. That's what I'm saying. My point was it's the future. Why are we still living in the past? And people got mad. I put up a clip and it got like 80,000 views online. Not because it was popular, but because like people were just in the comments, like, you know, but the kind of guys who are honestly caring about that are like, you know,
High vis wearing.
yeah, they're the kind of
tradies.
dudes who they think they were calling me like, oh, what a girl. And I was like, the fact that you
Yeah.
think calling me a girl is an insult shows a lot about you. Like, I'm not insulted by that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a girl. It's like, all right, no, girls are great.
I like it because
What are you talking about?
you've spun on the head what it used to be. You know, like people
Yeah.
love manuals.
Mm.
But
And
you
there
flipped
still
on its
is
head. I love it.
a minority
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there, clearly. Because I just thought it was funny. And also, like, I don't care. That's the thing. I think people thought I was like, fuck manuals. But I was
Yeah.
like, no, I don't care. I just thought it would be funny just to say one line of you can't even wank in traffic. I think that was my whole point.
Yeah, you just wanted to get to the wank joke,
think
and they got stuck on the
Exactly.
on the manual.
It was like a
It's-
3-minute build to like a 4 out of 10 wank joke.
I know.
And no one else can see that.
I know a tradie who told me that he used to have a wank on the way to work in the car.
Okay, I was
Really?
joking.
No fucking joke, dude. I thought it was weird. And I
Just
hope you
take-
guys do too.
What to just take the sort of, was he a nicer person on the work site because of it, less angry?
Oh, he's either got a sex addiction
Yeah.
and this is a way of just sort of, I don't know, numbing it down a little bit for the day.
I mean, if
But
it works,
it's
just do it before you leave. I think that's the key, maybe.
I'm not going to say who it is or whatever, but I know someone who's wanked on the job.
Really.
Wanked on the job.
I feel
on the
like
job.
episode
Under
14,
a-
did we talk about that? I
Yeah,
think
we talked about work wanks.
we did this, episode 14 before we thought that this was going to be a thing that would sort of, we didn't think would have Seth Godin and just fucking, yeah. Anyway, we spoke about sort of radical honesty, and so we just went through moments of talking about things that we are uncomfortable with personally, but things that we've done. And I think that a work wank definitely made it in there.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a squeegee in my ass also made it in there as well, which you'll have to listen to the episode.
If Josh didn't do that as a 14-year-old kid, how old were you? 12, 14?
This is the thing. In,
as in, I put it in my ass.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. I don't know. I was hoping you said on, and then I was like, maybe you said in.
No, you said in. No, but the thing is, it was actually
because
it was older. It was like 15.
Your butt.
I was like 15.
Luke, it wasn't for cleaning purposes, bro.
Yeah.
But it was because you said in.
The reason why I did it, to be clear, was because I had a sex ed teacher who was trying to give us a more sort of real experience around what you need to know about your body. And she was an older lady, and she talked about the male's G spot in our asses. Yeah. And so that's why I reckon I wouldn't have been the only one.
Lead a dog to water.
Yeah,
drink.
See, I know that as a fact.
Yeah.
And I've never been
tried
that curious.
I haven't had to do it since. Well, because I realised I didn't want to be...
No, I kind of envy you because everyone does want to know what it feels like. Anyway, good on you.
But the funny thing is that I mentioned on the show, and then I had a mate who was very sort of casual. He said, yes, I got my wife to put a dildo in my ass on the weekend to test it. It was the first time he was testing it out, and that's not even a joke. But we do have
brave woman.
We do have a squeegee keyring key roll.
Colt?
Ski. What do we have?
Squeegee keyring Colt.
Yeah, we actually. So the reason that
why did you call it the most difficult sentence to say?
It hasn't been difficult up until today.
I've got some new Peter Piper pick some pickled peppers merch.
No, but
we're also selling seashells that she sells by the
shirts. No, so this keyring. For people who listen to the show regularly would know this is actually designed by 3D Dill, which is how he got his name. And so he actually has come from Canada, and he brought, we basically started this cult. There's only 4 of them, and I've got, 6 of them. How many do we have?
There's 9 in total.
Really?
Yeah. 3 went missing in...
yeah, they're in my ass right now.
In Josh's ass.
Yeah, and so, but that's how 3D Dill came to be. So he was listening to the show, said, I've got a 3D printer. I'll make these for you.
Yeah.
And then before you know it.
I guess you're in the business, Luke, of sort of noticing things that are picking up momentum and running with them.
Yes.
It's what I love about creativity radio. It's like you start to see what audience is picking up on, like you sipping water on stage.
Oh, did you see that? How weird's that? That happens at all my shows, and I don't know why. I still don't know why.
So when explain what happened.
So have you guys seen comedy, obviously live comedy before?
Yeah.
The comedian, about 10 minutes in, your throat gets a little parched, so you walk over to the stool, have a drink, and there's always this weird pause where there's like 150 people or whatever, or sometimes if you're that big, a theatre of people just staring at you drinking, and in no other profession does that happen, where everyone's just watching you drink. So at my shows, it always starts at the first time someone just, to feel the awkwardness, one time just went... and started clapping, and I was like, thank you, or whatever. And then the next time I went and got a drink about 10 minutes later in the show, about 30 people started to clap. And then by the end, I was almost getting a standing ovation, to the point where I'd be like, and everyone go nuts, and then I'd take it away and everyone would be silent. And then it was like,
how did you find that adds to the show, or at the beginning
Not
was
at all,
it rattling? From an energy point of view?
Oh, it's funny. It's a good thing to call back throughout the show. But sometimes I'll be halfway through a joke, forget about it, and I'm so into telling the joke, and I just quickly get a drink, and everyone starts going nuts, and I'm like, why? Example of it, I have a clip of it. I was like, so I went to Thailand recently, and I just got a drink, and then everyone started going nuts, and I was like, why do so many people care about Thailand? And then I briefly forget all the time, it's shit. Yeah, okay, we're all doing memes. Okay, cool.
It actually reminds me of when I watch Ricky Gervais's special, I feel like he's got big Fosters. He's got obnoxiously large.
Well, that happens in my new special that we've shot and it's coming out. And I don't know how each audience is. So it happened in Adelaide, happened in Canberra, happened in Brisbane. I don't know how these people are communicating this garbage to each other.
It's so fun.
What is the main way of your tribe or your people, your fans?
Your cult.
Your cult.
Cult. Yeah, I do have a cult.
What is the way that they communicate? Have you worked out how you can get them all
Just
sort
like
of?
Instagram, and I do reply to like everyone's DMs
Yeah.
usually. And
Do they
unless
talk
suck.
amongst each other?
Yes, I have a Discord as well for like the Patreon people. Like it's so weird. Like some of them have become friends.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they've met through coming to my shows. Like then the
Yeah.
next year you meet two people who you met the year before, and like, oh, we're dating now, and you're like, that's so weird. It's
That's
happened.
funny.
Yeah, it's super weird.
You
Imagine
mentioned
just bonding over weird podcasts. Like
Well, It's a weird time. I mean, what I was thinking about us doing 7 days. If you listen to every show, there's a massive buy-in
Mhm.
that I think is like if you listen to one show a week, you have buy-in, but it becomes the voice in your ear.
I wonder how
which
many
is
people are
very
listening
nice.
to one. I feel like it'd be hard. Did someone just fucking yawn? Did I hear a yawn?
Yeah, sorry,
you,
that was
Mr.
me.
97?
Yeah.
Do that again, mate. You're done.
He literally. This is what happened. We changed the audio levels. We've given him more mic volume, and I fucking regret it. But anyway, what I wanted to bring up was you mentioned VCAL.
yeah.
Was it your stand-up special that you're slicing up, or is
No,
that
that was just a clip from a couple of years ago. That was
Yeah.
me opening for my friend Lewis. As you
Uh-huh.
had Lewis
Yeah, yeah.
Spears on the show before. That was when I opened for his special.
Yeah.
And I did that VCAL bit, and it since has gone very viral.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that. Oh no, I think it was a good bit, but it would have been a bit I never put in a special. But I'm glad I did put it out. And
Viral in a good way or viral in
this
the...
one was viral in a good
okay.
way, but like I got like 3 million views just from VCAL kids who love it. And now I've heard so many stories of VCAL teachers playing it in
Really?
class, which kind of proves my point that VCAL is a waste of time.
I dropped out of VCAL, which is the ultimate.
Wow. See, I dropped out of TAFE, so everyone thought I was punching down. I'm like, dude, I'm just punching directly across.
To the Gronk next to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a VCAL thing to do. I
But yeah,
think,
if you don't
to
know what
throw a punch.
VCAL is, it stands for Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning, doesn't it?
Really?
I think so.
I don't
Yeah.
think the VCAL kids would know.
Yeah. It's like
I don't know.
TAFE in high school. It's kind of like if you don't want to do year 12, then you don't want to do VCE, you do like, they just do stupid shit.
Well, the problem that I had with because I was probably a perfect student for something like VCAL,
yeah.
but because I wasn't like seen as someone who would do a trade, it didn't really fit. But I feel like if they were to change VCAL to be more like open, so it's like you could be a creative or a filmmaker
They
and do
are
that sort of
trying to,
stuff.
because that's why I went there. So
Yeah.
the whole story is I tell the story where I went to a school to teach VCAL kids how to do stand-up. They employed me. They were like, hey, this VCAL teacher messaged me going, hey, like we're doing this stand-up comedy thing. We'd love to get a comedian to come in and help the kids write like a 5-minute thing. And I thought it was super weird.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. They're going to pay me.
It's like going to a jail
Yeah,
or something.
I'm like, I'm not
you know?
busy. I don't do a lot during the day. So I was like, sweet. And I thought, I might get a story out of it. And I'm very glad I went. And then the kids just were not interested because the kids who were there were there to do a trade or whatever. So
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
like, why are we learning stand-up? And I'd be the same.
Yeah.
If I had no interest to do stand-up comedy, I'd be like, why am I sitting here listening to this guy?
I love that the teacher thought it was a great idea.
I think it's cool. I
It's-
reckon
no,
that's
it's-
so cool
It's
though.
literally glorified babysitting. Like that's what
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
It was like, just tell them to sit there and keep an eye on them for 2
Yeah.
hours.
So
That's
did
what it was.
how do you actually set up a class for
I felt like
stand-up?
I was like the Jack Black in School of Rock.
Uh-huh.
I kind of came in, I closed the door, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna be real with you. Who here wants to learn stand up?" And they were like, and like 2 people, kids. I was like, "Cool, I'll happy to teach you. You guys, if you just shut up for 2 hours, I don't care what you do. I'm like, just don't be annoying." I was
That's so
pretty much
good.
like that guy.
And were they reciprocal to that? Like,
Yeah, the kids were just like, sweet, I got a free period off. And then by the end, like, I did the anti thing of like, by the end, I was being funny and they were teaching these
Yeah.
kids how to write jokes or whatever. And the kids who thought they were too cool for it at the start kind of started to join in.
Yeah.
They were
Because
like,
you fucking negged
yeah,
them.
and they were- yeah, I did.
It's the game. You fucking nailed
like,
it.
you know, one of them was sitting there at the back with his arms folded. And then by then he's like, oh, I've got a story. And then
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he started
yeah.
telling me, he's like, oh, you know what could be funny? And then I realized 5 minutes and I was like, you're writing stand up. He's like, no, I'm not. I was like, yeah, you are. He's like, no, I'm not.
it's usually the kids that don't want to be involved that have something in them, or
Oh, they
You've
not
got something in your
dumbasses.
teeth, by the way, which I don't think the camera will pick up.
is it? Do I?
I feel like you do.
Awkward, it
Maybe
might
it's a
just be your
it's
face.
no, it's
No,
like,
it's just my fucking head.
like a poppy seed. If you had yeah, there it is. It's
Gone?
gone. It's moved.
Jesus.
Anyway, sorry about that. I keep looking at the. Yeah.
Good?
it's-
We good?
Yeah. It's moved.
All right, I'm going to do this for the rest of the
No, that's
episode.
right. You actually wouldn't be able to see it. You had a radio show
Yes.
with Lewis Spears, who we've had on the show.
Yes.
How did that come about? What, as someone who I see you as someone who's been able to foster a community online, something that a lot of radio people dream of doing,
Yeah.
and so you sort
Do
of.
they? I don't know if they do.
I reckon there's a lot of. I think
Well, it's like
That's
YouTube stars want to be TV stars, radio
TV
stars want to be
Anymore. I think
YouTubers.
maybe at the start, because TV was still the big medium.
Yeah, TV
I
maybe
think-
not,
I
but
think YouTube stars just want to be YouTube stars now, because it's
Well,
like TMZ report on YouTubers as
yeah.
much as they report on TV stars. now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
there's
Movie-
David Dobrik and Logan Paul being ambushed in the street.
Yeah.
But
Like,
David Dobrik talks about his dream is to have his own Tonight Show, like talk show, and so
Well, I think
but
what
I reckon the future of that is on the internet.
But that's what I mean,
He'll
but-
have
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but it's just on the internet.
I think that everyone's like undervaluing their own area in that sort of thing.
Hasn't he got like 13 million, whatever,
Yeah.
how many subscribers he has? Isn't that like probably more viewers than the Tonight Show has?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that's the weirdness in like humans. We value things that we think that we want, but we've got the actual thing right there.
Yeah.
I mean, why did you decide to do radio at the start?
Well, that's what we've just realized recently was we've since stopped doing it. But I think we just wanted to do Luke and Lewis. We wanted to do a show together. And then I think the go-to at the start of, you're a comedian, you're like, all right, we want to do a show. What's a platform we can do that show on? And the obvious choice was radio. And we knew, and I think the reason why I found out about your podcast was we knew Jack Post.
Yeah.
I knew him from community radio, like at Sin.
Mhm.
And so I'd met him a couple of times. And then Lewis knew Sam Kavanagh, who was Hamish and Andy's old producer, and through like a family friend. And I think we just shot him an email and we recorded a little demo. And he was like, "Nah, come back when you want to change your online stuff." That's what Sam said, and he was pretty honest.
What did that mean?
Kind of just like, Lewis was doing some pretty edgy stuff and still is at the time. And he's like, maybe you guys aren't fit for radio. But then he was like, look, I'll still forward this on to all the content producers. Then Dave Cameron emailed us like 3 days later going, come in. I
That's
liked
great.
it.
There's
So-
a connection there because Tommy's like call up that was through Dave when you got the Shepparton gig.
yeah, he emailed me about 12:30 a.m. Just, mate, do you want a job regional?
How old were you?
I was 22.
That's like some Scooter Braun shit,
23.
but it's way less weird.
Yeah,
'cause you're
yeah.
22, like up in the middle of the night watching little boys on the internet, But in your case, big boys, That's how Justin Bieber was found.
Yeah,
you could have
yeah,
been the
so-
Justin Bieber of radio.
Yeah, but I'm shit.
And so,
Less talented.
I mean, so what was the so Dave Cameron reached out? Was that
He reached out, then we came in, and then Jack was really good. Jack Post was really good and stayed after. So we used to come in for about 6 weeks in a row after Hamish and Andy finished, and Jack used to stay around and record a demo for us, like just for free, like
amazing?
which was very nice for him
Yeah.
because they were like, oh, we need to record a demo, but they didn't want to pay anyone.
Yeah.
If you've worked in radio,
Yeah.
you'll know that they don't want to pay anyone to do anything.
Yeah.
And so then Jack said, yeah, I'm happy to do it. Which
This
was
is probably
very
when
nice.
Jack was trying to build his house, which is probably would have been
probably
2 years of delay.
procrastinating.
Yeah. And so, what was the
Then
what were you trying to get out of those tapes? What were those?
we just wanted a show, and then we got put on the Modern Digital, like the Triple M Digital Network, and then that was awesome. And then I think that's where our show was probably best. And then after about a year on that, not even like 8 months on that, we got put on Fox on the Sunday nights, and we're doing like the fill-in stuff on the school holidays and like on the survey breaks. And then I think we just realized that like, this isn't what maybe we really wanted to do at the start. I think we lost sight of what we originally wanted to do. Like on Triple M Modern Digital, we were doing whatever we wanted to do, and we were doing all this ridiculous stuff like walking to work and like 30 kilometers and doing all these dumb
the
challenges.
30 kilometers bit is the outrageous
Yeah,
bit.
you're not
Well,
walking.
fuck it.
Yeah,
you
not
walk to
walking
work every day.
Yeah, well, the joke
Guys.
was that I
Yeah.
was proving that I don't live in the country because Lewis thinks I live in the country, and he said if you don't live in the country, he goes, you could walk to work, and I was like fine, and I got up the next day and walked 6 hours.
We had a bloke by the name of Craig Harper on the show
Yeah.
earlier in the week, and we were talking about what we're doing, and and how there's no rules. He's got a podcast too.
Yeah.
There's no rules to what we're doing. And
Yeah.
that's what I'd love. Radio, there is a lot of rules.
So many.
There's
And I don't
stakeholders.
mind those. It does keep the content moving, and it's almost fun to sometimes play in that field. But then
Yeah.
I think we're just better not playing that, because I think our show was like an anti-radio show anyway.
Mm.
Like we used to break them. Like that was kind of the show. Like we used to do a segment called like, "Is Our Boss Listening?" where we'd throw out a massive threat, like we're going to do something awful on air, and we timed how long it was between our studio and Dave Cameron's office, and we used to play a timer, and because he used to insist that he listened every day, but we knew he didn't. So we used to like start the clock, and we're like, "Dave, if you don't do this, we're gonna leave." One time we just left. We're like, we're 10 minutes in the show. We're like, we're not
Yeah.
gonna do the show today, and then we just left.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like the appeal of our show and why it built an audience so quick of our online fans was because
Yeah.
it was a radio show like on roids. Like it was a
Yeah,
radio show
yeah.
that like, why do these guys have a show?
But what do you learn about audience when you do a radio show? Because essentially, a radio station has their own audience, and you're then on their
You're
land.
presenting to
Yeah.
an existing
I
audience.
think that
versus
was
having-
always the battle between us, and not like it wasn't. There was never any tension, but like between us and the radio station was like
There can
like,
be tension.
They're
That's
like,
fine.
this is how you appeal to the Fox audience, and we're like, we didn't care because we already
Mm.
had our own online audience.
What was that, out of curiosity? What would they say? What were the brand filters if you wanted to be the perfect boys?
For example, like they just used to stop us from doing stuff that we thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like we used to have this segment called Businesses Exposed, and Lewis always wanted to expose the radio station for not, the Flying Fox,
Mhm.
how it's not a
Yeah, yeah.
helicopter, it's
Yeah, yeah.
just a sound effect
Uh-huh.
for the traffic report.
Mhm.
And but they go like live at the Flying Fox, and it's just someone in a news booth with a helicopter effect playing over it. We always wanted to just expose them on air for that, and they used to hate that shit.
Yeah.
And we used to come up with stuff like, that's just one example of
Look, it's making fun
20.
of them, right?
yeah, we used to always make fun of the radio station. We used
Yeah.
to maybe like when big guests used to come in. We used to like when will.i.am came in. I remember he had a bunch of chocolates there waiting for him, and like we were there the night before he did the performance before the grand final or whatever last
Yeah.
year when he was on the Fox, and we used to just always like steal their chocolates and like we're eating will.i.am's chocolates. It's just like it was a constant thing of like,
Yeah.
can you guys just rein it in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little?
Yeah.
It was just like every day we were like, oh, we could do this, and we'd be running through the office like
Yeah.
just crazy.
And so
stuff,
it's
yeah.
been, what, 6 months since you finished radio stuff about that? Or something
Yeah,
like
we
that?
probably wrapped up about March, like just before the comedy
Yeah.
festival, I think.
And so today you're announcing that you guys
Yes.
are back. You've got your podcast back.
yeah,
It's
it
all happening.
seems like I've come on this podcast to announce that. It was
Yeah.
actually a coincidence.
So
No,
we've
no,
got
no,
will.i.am.
that's-
He's coming on tomorrow
Yeah.
to announce something.
And he's eating all your chocolate.
yeah.
Yeah. So
yes.
what was the thought process? Because you could say that all those nights that you spent doing the air checks or whatever with Jack Post was essentially a podcast.
Yeah, well, we don't regret doing anything. Like the
Mhm.
show was so much fun, and it built what we had today. And so many people loved our radio show because I think maybe we didn't. Well, I think we always stayed true to what we thought it was. Like we never did like you guys have worked in radio,
Mhm. Yeah.
like this, like, oh, you guys should talk about this because it's in the news, and you're like, well, we don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm.
It's great. It's also
We
great
just
that
did it.
the night shift. Like I think that the areas that you're playing in,
Yeah.
it was that if you were in a breakfast show
Yeah.
in Shepparton or whatever, all of a sudden you have to talk about
They
the
offered us a lot
earthquake.
of regional stuff,
Yeah.
and we were like, so an example was it was in the news at the time. I remember an air check. It was the Cardinal Pell case was happening, and I was
Mm.
like, just as an example, would we have to talk about that
Yeah.
seriously on air? And they
Mhm.
were like, yeah, of course. And I was like, well, that's not what
Yeah.
we wanted to do. We
Mm.
just wanted to do Luke and Lewis. So the reason why we kind of stopped it was because there was not a lot of, by the end we were doing it in different states all the time because one
Mhm.
of us would be doing shows interstate. And then we also really wasn't maybe the path we wanted to go down to. And also like we were only on once a week. We wanted
Mm.
to do it more.
Mm.
I think that's
so
a great decision. I think that a lot of people don't listen to that internal voice, but being
everyone
able to
thinks
say,
we're crazy. Like all the other comedians on the circuit think we're
Mhm.
nuts for quitting a radio show because that's all what a lot of people are striving towards.
well, that's what we're talking about at the front. It's that there's a lot of people who idolize certain things within the industry, where it's like there's a bunch of people who like look at like who are in radio. Like I've heard people who are really successful in radio being chuffed that they're on a podcast. And it's like
Yeah.
that seems
Well,
a
I
bit
just
weird.
think I've been lucky enough to experience both sides on it, and I've weighed them up, and I just think the online stuff there's more creativity. It's probably more work, but
Yeah.
at the
Mm.
end of the day, there's more positives because you got more freedom if you're lucky enough to have an online following, I think just go for that. And there's more because again, like there was other people at the radio station controlling our future.
Yeah.
I'm just not
Yeah.
into that.
I mean, so what? Describe the podcast.
Yeah,
What is
so
it? What is
now
it gonna
we're
be?
just coming back and pretty much doing like what you guys do,
Yeah.
just like whatever we want. We'll
Yeah.
come in every day, like, you know, if I want to trash Lewis or something for 10 minutes, you can't do that on
Yeah,
radio
yeah.
because you got to go to a song.
Yeah.
So-
well, it's one long talk break, right? This
Yeah.
is we have
Mhm.
multiple chances. Are you still living in the country?
I do still live in Diamond City, yes.
Diamond City sounds.
Diamond City.
It's called Diamond Creek, but
Oh,
it's,
okay,
it is
fuck. I was
Diamond
going to say,
City.
because Diamond
No,
City, it sounds
I
like
call
some
it
sort of
Diamond
a.
City because
No, it sounds like there's a casino.
denial.
The Diamond City, actually, it's amazing how the name, a slight tweak
Sounds like
of a
a
name.
strip club, bro.
No, Diamond City. It sounds
Diamond
like
City
Diamond City sounds like a casino in
Yeah, that's
Vegas
why I
or
live
whatever.
there.
strip club. Sometimes it takes Josh. The moon has to be in the right position. Coffee cup has to be in the right place for him to do anything to get down to
Yeah, I'm
business.
very specific. If it's too cold, too hot, don't like. Baby doesn't like to work.
But I think creative endeavors require, I don't know, you need to sort of be in a right place, some circumstances to get started. For you, writing comedy, are you needing to, like, what works for you?
Yeah, I've tried a bunch of different stuff. I used to go down to my park and with a notebook and not take my phone. And then occasionally I'd be like, oh, what's another word for that? And I'd want to Google it, which kind of
Yeah.
did hinder you a little. So like I've now
What,
gone
a
like
dictionary?
a healthy. Yeah, I'm not going to sit there at the park with a dictionary.
That would be pretty.
And a thesaurus. Like,
Can you buy dictionaries? I guess you'd have to.
I mean,
You get
yeah.
like an Oxford dictionary.
Yeah.
I've wondered about that, like getting a fucking.
Yeah.
I never appreciated scientific calculators when I was growing up.
Still don't.
I think I still don't have no appreciation. How weird was it in high school when, like primary school, it was considered cheating to use a calculator. Then you get into high school and it's like, why don't you have your calculator in class?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I didn't bring it. And they're like, well, you need it.
Well,
It was always considered
Yeah.
cheating in
Yeah.
primary school.
yeah, it was
wasn't
definitely I mean, I guess the difference between primary school and high school is primary school is more sort of your times tables. Do you know what 6
Yeah.
times 6 is?
36.
That's very good.
Thank you.
It was a complete scam, though. Think about how much money parents around Australia have spent around the world on calculators.
I don't know if it's a scam.
I think
Scam.
mine was like 150. Like those
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
ones, they're so expensive.
That's what I mean. All those books.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, now it's a bit different.
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic dad move. You can tell that you're a dad because you just call everything a fucking scam.
It's
It wasn't a scam. It's
definitely
it's an
a scam.
expensive, because I
Definitely a
remember
scam.
that was the most expensive thing in the whole, like your book list was a scientific calculator.
Oh, some of those textbooks are getting pretty expensive, especially in-
Ridiculous.
I mean, I only did 1 year of like a course out of school, but
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was like one was like $200.
Were you doing
Yeah.
music? What was the?
I was doing a Bachelor of Music Business at
Music.
Box Hill TAFE, which is
Business of music.
yeah,
It's
it's
like music
all I
industry?
learned was there was no money in music, so I quit. But 13 grand later, I've now got a 13 grand HECS debt that
That's fucked.
I've actually since paid off. I just decided to just pay it off
Yeah.
as quickly as I could.
So does it chase you?
You know, you get charged like a level of interest. It's called indexation on all your HECS debt. I didn't know that. I
Have you
think a
got-
lot of people do.
Have you got Hex there?
No,
Goes
I
up-
don't.
It
Bree
goes up
does
every
that.
year.
Mr. 97 does. How much you got?
No, I don't have any.
Oh, you paid it
Because
off.
it's
No,
well, because he's
my
from
parents paid up front.
yeah, New
Okay.
Zealand.
Do you go private school?
No, public. Born high school.
Yeah, which is
Yeah. Good for
Good for
basically.
you. And
basically-
your parents paid off your parents.
I mean, it was
That's
how
unheard of.
much?
He was only there for 2 months
Yeah,
at,
yeah, yeah.
at uni.
Yeah.
What
Dropped
was
out.
the
okay.
actual bill? Do you think?
I think it's 2.5.
Oh, that's all right.
Three
Thanks.
D deal.
But
How much?
literally for 3 months though, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
Two
I
and a
mean
half.
it's cheap.
That's more than rent. Okay, no, it's
No,
not.
it's,
How much? How
Do
much?
live at home. It's like that's a year's worth of rent. It's like
Dill's in his third year.
Going into my fourth year.
it's not
Going
a
to-
competition, but how much student debt do you have?
Probably 32 grand at the moment.
What's the
Crazy.
deal in Canada?
We used to have a 6-month grace period where we could save up money and then start paying it back. But
6 months is not that much
no,
time.
but
No.
then the government decided to cut that. And then so as soon as I finish my degree, I have to start paying,
What sort of payments do you reckon a month you will be up for?
probably starting at like $450, $500.
a
month.
month.
A month.
Yeah.
Far out.
So it's not like a percentage of your income like here.
No.
Here's what, like 2.5% or 5%
Yeah.
of your
Well, it's
income or
after you
something.
earn a certain amount of cash.
After you
and
earn
all-
$50,000 a year, I think
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, so you could just scoot through on 40.
Which means I'll
48.
never have to pay it off. I don't know why I did.
I mean, as a as a comedian, like what do your books actually look like? How does this all
Run us through your profit and loss, bro.
yeah.
I'm hoping you'll be asking Will Am this tomorrow.
like how does it actually work?
I would say most of the money comes in through touring.
Mhm.
So like pretty much 60%, and then maybe like a bit of online stuff. But online stuff, I'm only making like, I think people think we make a lot more off of YouTube. Like I only make like $200 a month off YouTube
Yeah,
because
sure.
all my stuff gets demonetized.
yeah.
No, you think I'm joking? I'm
No,
not.
no, I mean, I can 100% believe it.
It
I
just
think
gets
that
demonetized.
But then they
and
changed.
age
They changed
restricted and-
some restrictions around an account that can be monetized.
Yeah,
you have
well-
to put up a certain amount of videos or
But the whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is,
views.
Yeah, like at the start, you gotta have 1,000 subscribers and also a certain amount of watch time.
Yeah,
but the
per
thing
month.
is,
Yeah.
Which just cuts out all those weird
Yeah.
kids at school where they're like got 70 subscribers. I think it's just YouTube going like, we only want to deal with the top 80% of, or the top 60% of YouTube users.
yeah.
And, you know, there's lots of people with like Minecraft channels out there getting 30 views.
Mm.
What's the point of monetizing for either party?
well, that's
Like,
what
they're not going to make any money out of it if they're only getting 30 views. You pretty much don't make any money out of it until you have about 10,000 to 20,000 subscribers anyway.
I mean, that was the thing when they announced that. It's like the amount of money that they're leaving on the table is like $10 a month is what the people would be making if they were actually.
Not
and so
even.
it's like,
So,
Well, I
It's-
made $90 on my account over its life, and then I read the fine print. And until you go
Hit
over,
100.
go
Yeah.
over 100, they don't pay it out.
yeah.
oh, that's
So
so
check that
sad.
out, mate.
They have
Zero.
a threshold every month. So some months, like if I don't upload enough, I wouldn't even hit that threshold.
Yeah.
So I won't even get paid some months.
And so I feel like you invest quite heavily in those, like the special that you did and the content that you're creating.
So that cost me $10,000 to
Yeah.
film my own special. But I think that's the future, I think, is people self-funding stuff. Like instead of waiting around for Netflix to give you one.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try and get on some streaming services anyway, because streaming services are a lot more likely to give you the time of day, because if they don't have to do any work and you just like have a product for them, that's so much easier for them than making a Netflix original comedy special is more effort than just buying an existing one.
yeah.
So I think if you have a finished product, and especially if you bank up a couple, you can give them all, and hopefully in a few years is the plan, to a streaming service.
Yeah,
And-
definitely.
And
I mean-
we've been talking to people at Stan, and they're like, yeah, I mean, if we don't have to do anything, we'll take it.
Yeah. Well,
kind of
their
thing.
content, they need content.
They do, yeah.
And you've got, I guess there's companies like Netflix who are spending, what was that number that you were saying the other day, Mr. 97?
I think it's around 20 billion.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Something like
money
that.
going into content.
Did you hear those numbers of how many views that Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston film got in the
Oh,
first
no.
weekend? It
Oh,
was like something like 30 million just in the US
Wow.
Mm.
and
Because
Canada.
TJ watched
which
it
is
5
like-
times.
no.
But that's like a quarter of their population.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or is not?
No,
many people do they have?
how-
They
Like
got
a tenth.
hundreds of millions.
Oh, okay, that's like a tenth of their population.
Yeah.
That's
No,
more than
so,
our
yeah,
population.
It's about a year's worth of rent, I
No,
believe.
it's more than our population in Australia, right?
yeah,
we've
we've
got
got 25.
25. I think.
Yeah, so they don't teach that in VCAL.
No, I had to use a calculator for that one.
No, but so how do
Rip
you,
off.
where's the scientific calculator? How did you justify? So as video production people, we
Yeah.
see the value in spending 10 grand because that's our
Well,
business.
I made, over half of it back off the show
Mm.
because there was 400 people
Yeah.
there. So you make most of it back on the night
Mhm.
selling tickets.
Mm.
But still, I paid it off throughout the rest of my tour. So every show I did between Brisbane and pretty much the end of my tour, I wasn't making any money. I was just paying off my special.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that's super
but
rewarding,
then
right?
next year,
Mhm.
the idea is like people have seen the special more. You sell more tickets, more people come to your shows. So it's like it's just an investment. Put in money to make money.
So will you do a special? Is the idea that you do a special every 12 months?
Nah.
No.
I think like once every few years, once
Okay.
every couple or 2 years, because it needs to be like a good hour.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to put out just the hour that you do every year, because
Yeah.
some bits are they're good in the room, but like I think when you guys will know if you watch a special on Netflix, it's I feel like it's never as funny as being in the room.
I'm
live.
always disappointed every time I turn on a
Yeah.
Netflix special.
Well, don't watch mine.
No.
You'll hate it.
No, but
Who are you disappointed with?
No, I just think
there's
like
some
all
better-
the
I love
big- I
some.
think-
I think
all the
Ricky Gervais's
big-
new one was awesome.
Yeah, I think that like the difference between being in like a actual like going to a stand up night
Seeing
or
it.
seeing it in person
Oh, so much better.
versus versus doing the
Yeah.
Netflix thing. I just feel like the way that I always land on a comedy special on Netflix is it's like, maybe I feel the pressure, especially with Brie, my girlfriend, when putting on a comedy special, it feels like there's an extra layer of like, we'll say, okay, if we don't laugh in the first 10 minutes, we'll turn it off.
People give it 10 minutes, which is why you got to put all your best shit at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you've got comedians like Chris D'Elia who does a podcast by himself every week. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And I
saw
love
him at
his
the
stand-up
store
too.
last year, and I saw him in Melbourne, and he was like amazing.
Yeah, I think he's so funny, but it's amazing that you can. I almost like his
online.
podcast better,
Yeah.
just because it's him just riffing for an hour.
But comedy is such a taste thing because I watch it and I don't laugh as much. Like there's heaps of stuff that
You're not
I feel-
watching funny enough people.
I feel like
Well, no, but
I'm better
I watch-
in the room though, because I do a lot of crowd work at my shows. Like I reckon
Yeah.
at my Canberra show, I did about 25, 30 minutes of crowd work, and I only do about 40 minutes of material. So I think I am similar to Chris D'Elia, where it's like a thing where maybe you are funnier on the spot, you know, but that's never as funny to watch back online because
Yeah.
it's like you weren't there.
There's
Yeah.
an energy to the room, I guess,
Yeah.
that you're sort of playing off, which when you're sitting
you
at
lose that
home,
watching it on the couch. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so how many days a week are you doing the podcast with?
So Lewis and I are going to be doing it 2 days a week, Tuesday,
Amazing.
Thursday,
Uh-huh.
and then we both have an individual one as well. So still 3 podcasts a week.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
And so from a strategic point of view, how much thought do you put to distribution? For instance, the YouTube stuff I was watching on the weekend, how much effort there is now in that, the funnel and the analytics thing where it's like watch time and you got to get all this
Yeah.
shit right and people are updating their thumbnails after the fact and testing things.
Yeah.
And I was looking at your YouTube channel and you've very much got it all dialed in, very compelling thumbnails.
I don't know if I do. Like,
I think thumbnails wise, like if you look at ours, it's all fucking like us sitting at a desk, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I feel like you do need to put a picture. So say if you talk about like whatever, Justin Bieber versus Tom Cruise fight, you need to put a picture of Justin Bieber and Tom Cruise in the thumbnail.
We spent a week covering that.
People
We did.
are so thick though. They're like, I know those 2 people. I will click. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
people goes through people's head. Like I know all of those words.
yeah.
And then
How much do you
people
think
click
about
on
it though? Like are you
Of course,
yeah.
it's. I think what would I click on? I'm like, and I do. I get sucked in by stuff. We all do. Like you see something pop up on your homepage, you're like, oh, that seems juicy,
Yeah.
and you're like, I've got 4 minutes. I could watch that. Everyone does that. So you just gotta think about people's habits and what's gonna get people in. But also, don't try too hard because then
Yeah.
it's like you also you put off the true.
Yeah.
fans, if
Well, I
that
think
makes
that's where
sense.
we're at the moment with it, which is
What would
Maybe
you prefer to win the masses or have the?
Well, I think also no one gives a shit. You win the masses because no one really cares. Like if I'm a fan of you guys, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Tommy and Josh did like this super clickbaity thumbnail. I'm not watching it out of principle.
Yeah.
No one's thinking that.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes, oh, I'll watch it anyway. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
it is interesting. I think that's like one of the stories that we're constantly pushing back on that we tell ourselves is probably limiting beliefs around, oh, we don't do that, or like it's.
but I feel like that was a thing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But since because everyone's doing it, and now it's the only way to get views and clicks and
Yeah.
stuff,
Well, what
you just do it.
What do you feel that internal pushback on? Like, is there anything that you feel like is a bit gross that you have to do? Because I think people don't like to be self-promoting and
Yeah.
shit. There's a sense that people have a filter, right?
And
I
you
mean,
walked away from radio based on X, Y, and Z, like say with the regional stuff that really doesn't fit. So
that
we've
just
got to
didn't fit
listen.
with our stand-up because
Yeah.
we at the end of the day we pretty much went into a couple of meetings and it was they were essentially saying in a nice way,
Yeah.
there's going to be a fork in the road where you have to pick between stand-up
Yeah, yeah.
and radio, and obviously everyone in radio is like, and I'm pretty sure it's obvious which one you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
pick,
yeah.
and
Of
they're
course
all
it-
going, it's radio, and
Yeah.
we're just like, no, it's
Yeah.
so not. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is a side project and stand-up. We're comedians,
Yeah.
so.
And so what is that, to TJ's point?
The self-promotion, what
Yeah.
do you cringe at? What don't you like doing?
I mean, no one likes self-promoting. No one's like, oh, swipe up, check out the new podcast. But I
Fuck,
also want,
some people are convincing, mate.
but I also want people to watch it. So
Yeah.
therefore I'm happy to do
Yeah.
it, and I know it works, and I'm happy to plug my merch because it's an income stream for me. And I feel like the days of being shameless is almost over. Even with your audience, no one cares.
Yeah.
As long as you don't push stuff every single day. I am conscious of how much I push people to buy things, and how much I push people to watch a certain thing because there's a time where it's too much.
Yeah. Well, I remember the getting a lot of Insta ads of the tambourine stuff.
And is that bother you? 'Cause
No,
that's not me.
No, I think
That's just like my management over. I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
doing paid
Well, no,
ads.
I think that it's I think it's
He
fine.
bought one. He bought
Yeah,
two.
exactly.
No, he's got two.
Yeah.
No, but I think that it's an interesting
See, I never see him.
Yeah, I guess a part of it is like when we think that we're getting tired of them as creators, it's only just getting cut through from people.
That's another thing.
which I think is part of it too.
Literally, the reason I realized is I do 20 nights, whatever, at the comedy festival, and can guarantee a week after I finish, you'll always get 5 messages going, so, oi, you never do shows in Melbourne. Why don't you do shows in Melbourne?
Yeah,
I just did Melbourne for a month.
Yeah.
What about saying the same thing? I mean, a comedy special, an hour. You're not coming with a new hour every day. How do you?
I do a new hour every
Every-
day.
New
I was
joke.
meaning
Not every
everyone
day.
else
Could
but
you
Luke.
I wonder if there's any comedians that say I don't do a joke twice.
That's
Beef.
ridiculous.
It's silly because you're crafting. You're seeing how
I
it
know,
works.
that's why it's ridiculous. That's why I brought it
But-
up, guys. You just
Do you
don't have to put me down.
do you
I feel so
feel?
bad now.
That was just like, no, that's not how comedy works. You fucking- that's why
He
I
also
brought
doesn't watch specials.
That's why. No, I do fucking watch.
Like, what would you know? You hate every comedy special. You watch.
I don't like laughing.
Saying the same thing. Do you feel? Because some people might come a couple of times. I mean, you got to get that out of your head. It's a person who's not a
People
comedian,
don't
right?
care. I had people come to my show 3 times this year, and they love it. They almost laugh harder because they
Yeah.
want to bring
They're ready.
they bring
They're
their
ready.
friends the second time, like, oh, and they know the bit.
Yeah, this is
And
the bit you're gonna laugh.
As
Go.
long as they don't yell at the punchlines, I don't give a shit. And
Have
as
you
long
had
as
that?
they know, nah, not really.
Yeah.
I've had people predict punchlines before, and that's when you know it's a bad punchline.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
everyone's thinking it, you're like, all right, I need to change that. Have been leading up to a joke, and someone's just yelled at the punchline. I've just been like, yep.
there it is.
Oh, that's
Fuck
annoying.
you.
Yeah. It's only happened a couple of
The relationship with hecklers.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I just love, I don't mind people contributing because I like doing crowd
Yeah.
work.
Have you ever done improv?
No.
Which is what you do basically on
I mean,
your
I do,
podcast.
I
Well,
do
there's
it
a-
every
there's
night
a
on
level of it.
stage, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never studied it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I find that interesting. I've gone to a couple of those, like fucking literally like it's pushed as
Well,
improv and they're sort of doing it.
I did one class once, but I was at like a university thing for another thing, and
Yeah.
there was like an hour of the day was an improv class, and I ended up writing a bit about it. That's the thing. Whenever I do something weird like that, I usually just do it for a bit or.
ABC, always be contenting.
Yeah.
Is that how you approach most situations in life?
I mean, you don't want to live your life like that, but it's always in the back of your head, I
Yeah.
think, of like, not when you're in the situation, maybe afterwards, you're like, was there anything in that?
Yeah.
I don't think if you go there going like, whoa, the content, and you're looking for it.
But have you, like I had Brie, my girlfriend, tell me a story 2 days ago, or like it was all happening in front of me. And I was like thinking to myself, this is going to be fucking great for the podcast. And Brie literally said, by the way, you can't mention any of this on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have cases like that?
Of course. Like my friends think they're like, a lot of mates go, oh, bro, don't talk about this. I'm like, yeah, you're not that interesting. I wasn't gonna. But like, you do get people like, oh, people who I think, they say something, especially old people. Old people always make the joke of like, they do something funny or whatever. Like I spilt my coffee. Like, don't use this in your act. And you're like, I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, my mum's onto it now. She's don't put this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Which
It
we've
does
done.
happen
We've
a
done a
bit.
couple of
Nah, I've
times. Did
definitely
she
put it on
ever?
the podcast.
She didn't blow up about. What did we mention?
Uh,
Can't
yeah,
remember.
I secretly recorded her saying, looking at a photo of Josh when he was really fat. Oh, he was very fat, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was a good little bit.
And I sent it
If
to
we could
Josh.
actually put it up online, it'd be even better.
But then she said after, oh, he's looking great or something now. Looking
yeah.
great now.
So she
That's
had
rough.
What's from a community point of view, the comedy community, the podcasting community? How do you? I feel like you're in a unique position of being able to see it. We don't do comedy. We like the idea. I like the idea of like being out on the road. Mainly, I like the idea of. I heard one
Macca's.
story. Yeah, of just being in a car. Just having some snacks and going to like the next
I
gig.
mean, I did do that. I usually fly everywhere because Australia's so big. But I did the last couple of shows, my tour. I did Albury and Canberra in the one weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. Like it's
The drive.
I like sitting. I like
there was one day
sitting.
where I drove from Canberra to Melbourne like 7 hours, and I was like, "This sucks."
Were you on your own?
No, I was with my girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
It still sucked.
No, she was great, but it's just like it's more just like we're taking turns in driving.
Yeah, sure.
We got like 4 hours in, and I've never listened to a true crime podcast, but we started going through. I'm like, let's just whack one on. We'll just see what all the fuss is about.
What's this serial
3
thing?
episodes down, I'm like into like Man on the Window. I'm like, oh, play the next one. I'm like so into it. And I was like, it's just kind of boring. I guess.
Anything over 2 hours of a drive just starts to get
No, I
laborious.
love it. But so the community bit, do you find that how many clubs can you do a night? Is that even a thing in Australia?
I think the most I've ever done a night is like 3 or 4, 3 in Melbourne. I'd love to go to New York and do like 7 in a night. That'd be cool.
How long are the bits that you do?
Yeah, usually like 10-minute spots,
Okay.
5-10 minute spots in Melbourne. And and then like, but I go up and do gigs in interstate sometimes. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was in Gold Coast, so you get like some more headline spots if you go interstate and stuff, so you can do longer. That's why I go, just to work on material.
Yeah. And so who do you
next
hang
tour.
out with? Like what's the actual experience outside of those 5 or 10 minute spots?
I mean, I usually just go there, in Melbourne, I just go do my time and like talk to a few comedians and then head off.
It's just
Go
a
home.
lot. It's a lot of thinking, right? Like it's your head, it's your brain needing to be firing properly to make it all work, right?
I think it becomes habit. When you're doing new stuff, definitely, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, what did I think of again? Like you write it down earlier and you're like, oh, how did it go in the word? Because if you muck up one word in a joke, it can sometimes ruin the entire joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be on it for sure. But then most of the time, once you've done a bit that many times, like I could just, if you were like, all right, welcome to stage Luke Kidgell right now, I could probably just do 20 minutes without thinking.
All right,
about
Luke
it.
Kidgell, let's go.
Who is the who's someone within the Australian industry that has either helped you or have just been super, super nice backstage? I feel like comedy gets a bit of a bad rap in regards to it's a bit fucking bitchy.
There is a lot of that, but there's also so much of the opposite.
Yeah,
which
who
is
are some of those epic people?
I mean, so when I really started, obviously Lewis was one of the first people I met, and he had been doing it for a bit longer than me, and I was very new. He was really good to me, which is why we became good friends, I think. But people would know who are great, like Nick Cody has always been awesome to me. He was the reason why I started stand-up.
Yeah.
I went to see his show in 2015. That was the first ever stand-up show I'd ever seen. And then 3 months later, I was at an open mic night, giving it a go. Hughesy's always been really good to me. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, like there's a lot of people. I don't know. I can mention a lot of names, but yeah.
Because I remember
No, Hughesy,
There's like
we know
Doug
Hughesy.
Chappell at the Comics Lounge. He's always been awesome to me.
Yeah.
There's just so many people. I feel like if I keep saying that, I'm going to miss
Yeah.
someone.
Well, I did a behind the scenes of a comedian a few years back, and I did this bit. I remember in the Comics Lounge, or behind the scenes, filming before the person came on, and there was a comedian who was sort of like interacting or whatever within the video, and that they were like interacting with the person that I was filming, who's the video was for. So this person talks in it and all that sort of thing. Anyway, edit the video, put it up, and then I get like we get messages being like, "Hey, you don't have permission to have that online," and so we had to take down the video and all that sort of thing.
I think I
And
know
just-
the person who the video was for.
Yeah, and so I feel like those
I've seen the video.
yeah, and I think that like it's such a common occurrence. I feel like that there is that sort of. I feel like within playing in that scene, you have to be talking a certain way, or you've got to be very careful of like, oh, this person's sensitive about this,
I
and
think
these people don't like these people.
A lot of people are reluctant to. I think a lot of people just see what we like, particularly the online guys, put out online, and like, oh, that's them, and then like I'm probably pretty the same, similar, to what I put out online in real life. But I think a lot of people just really are reluctant to embrace the online thing, even still, particularly in the stand-up circuit, because I think there's just like I think they think like we're cheating or like we're jumping a queue, or like. But I don't think there is a queue. There's no queue anymore.
There's also authenticity is a word highly used these days that lost a bit of its meaning. But there is, if you're online, if you're doing what you're doing, just creating this much content, it's hard to be a phony. It's hard to not be the guy that's appearing. And some of these people, they've got their set, maybe these old school comedians. That you see them the way that you do.
Dude, it's a lot of the ones coming up as well. Like they want to be on the gala. Like I've no desire to be on the Comedy Festival gala ever because it's like, well, my stand-up clips get millions of views online.
Yeah.
So it's like they're getting more plays from a more target demographic online. Why would I want to be on the ABC? So very true. Well, like it's not the ABC. I'm more just like, well, what's the point? Obviously, a cool gig. You get to perform at the Palais for 3,000 people. But other than that,
the prestige, just that they're hanging on to an old idea. What infuriated me the most was a radio article written by a radio website talking about. Radio is still the way most people consume their music.
But it's not, though.
I looked at it, dude. The fucking stat that they pulled from was a survey.
If you look at over 50s, like AM, if you include AM in that thing, maybe it is.
A survey of 2,000 people. That's where they got that study from.
Yeah. I mean,
that's 2,000 people is representing Australia. There's 400 million.
Yeah, but also young people don't want to complete surveys, so it doesn't actually.
True, but all you have to do is look at Spotify numbers in Australia. It's huge. It's millions and millions of subscribers. So there's your fucking answer. That beats your radio thing.
But there's a lot of people who don't. Like, I feel like I'm going to cop a lot of shit from maybe. I feel sure there's going to be a lot of people who mock me for releasing a comedy special myself. This guy, whatever, doesn't deserve one, and it's like. Well, I still go to gigs all the time. I gig like 4 nights a week at least, like minimum. So I'm always working at stand-up. So it's like, if I'm in an opportunity where I can do that myself, then I think it's insane as to why wouldn't you? And I'm sure I'll cop a little bit of lashback under the surface from other comedians, like, because, promoting a comedy special, they probably view it as a thing where it's like, 10 years in, you do your Netflix comedy special.
I think they're right and you're also right. You're both right.
I agree with it. I totally get why they think that because the old way was like, you get good enough, Comedy Central gives you a special or HBO gives you a special, but it's like the game's changed.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you're at a cafe and you're lining up somewhere because you think there's a line and then some fuckers just walk in and then you discover that there is no line, but you've been lining up, you're going to be a little bit pissed off, right?
I've done that before.
That's perfect.
Well, literally, don't get me started. I've actually blacklisted Hash in the city. Fuck you, Hash. I had a line. I was the first in the line. This was Saturday morning.
So it was like a ticket system?
No, it wasn't a fucking ticket system, but he's like, oh, yeah, just... outside, like they can serve you outside, you seated outside. The thing was there was no fucking line outside, and so we went out and there was like 6 fucking people.
I mean, I'm still getting ropeable if I've been lining up and there's only one checkout register and then they open another one. The cunt behind me fucking jumps to that.
No, you can't do that,
bro.
Absolutely,
I'm in front
not.
of you. It should be the etiquette to shift me over there.
Yeah. I feel like I learnt that at Coles in Endeavour Hills. Mum taught me young that, the person who's at the front gets to go in.
So it should be.
I mean,
these are unwritten rules of the world.
But also the other unwritten rule, always put your heavy stuff at the front and the light stuff at the back.
To make their packing easier?
No. It's because you don't want to squash your eggs and stuff. You want like the... If you put something, the cans...
So you're doing it for your benefit, not for the
Oh, definitely. But it's a rule of life. Like it's a... Did you know that or no?
Yeah, I guess I knew that, but usually I never go to a low because I still live at home. The only time I ever buy stuff from the shops is I'm never getting more than a basket full of stuff at like a
12 items or less. I mean, that's not really a thing anymore.
Well,
you can.
I never get.
What do you buy? What do you?
I'm just like parents go away. Even when like my mum and dad go away on holidays, or whatever, I will not go and do a weekly shop. I will go every day to the shops and buy like. Just stuff I need for the next 48 hours.
It becomes a ritual, right? I mean, we've done that, but then with a kid...
I know it's impractical.
With a kid, it's actually just entertaining. It's like he can run up the aisle. It's like...
Oh, you like going to the
shop?
Well,
my son loves it. He's supermarket. He wants to go, but then he fucking just goes down the yogurt aisle and smashes yogurts. But
no one asked. No one was like, how does your kid say supermarket? But thank you for telling us.
No problem. But fuck you.
So what's the So the podcast, the comedy stuff. What else?
The gala special that you're vying for.
Yeah.
What else is it? Else is in the works? What are you prioritizing at the moment?
Just getting Luke and Lewis off the ground. We want to see where we can take that, and then the tour next year, and just keep growing it all. I really want to prioritize podcasting over maybe YouTube videos and stuff. I guess is the way I want to go down. I think I like doing the long form content more than sitting there writing a video about The Bachelor or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Are
then-
you thinking money? Like, is that a part of that equation?
Oh, no, not at all. Just it's what I
love it.
like doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the content that I like consuming is like podcasts and stuff. All my favorite comedians like Theo Von and Chris D'Elia, all those American guys, they're doing that, and that's what I like consuming. So it's like, well, I just want to make what I like, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably
formula. Not a good money move, actually.
No, but it's a good
at the moment, the money move is probably to make shorter content, get people in, and
But I don't know if it's fulfilling, right? I think if you can win the other way, so if you're going to try two options, you're not assured of winning either way.
Yeah.
So if you're to do the thing you fucking love every day, and have that win, who's laughing now?
Exactly.
I feel like
That's what you guys are doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
We're giving it a crack.
Well, we wouldn't do it 7 days a week if you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I
You're
think
just sitting here getting sadder and sadder every day.
I think that's the key, and it's like even we launched our new website, thedailytalkshow.com, earlier in the week, and it's like there's so many things that are imperfect with it, or even like we filmed an episode earlier in the week where the camera was slightly tilted or things like that. It's like these things will happen. This is part of the journey, and I guess it's like a lot of people are trying to seek that perfection.
That's a cool episode.
Yeah.
Like, call it the 45-degree episode. And like,
Exactly.
Lewis and I actually had an idea where to do an episode in like 140p, like, so make it like pixelated and just do like the 140p episode and just try
That's
and
so
get
good.
it shitter quality as possible.
Put
And
your
then-
glasses on. That's the name of the episode.
Legit, like we just like we always think of like weird ways we can get people's attention, and like it wouldn't be good to watch every time, but for 30 minutes or an hour, watch us in 140p, and it'd load quick, it'd be great. That's the only benefit, actually.
Yeah, it's solid.
No buffering.
What's your relationship with like perfectionism?
I need to get over that. I focus too much on trying to be perfect, and sometimes it takes me 2 days to edit a 10-minute video. Like, as I go through it, and when it's done, I should put it out. Then I go, oh, it could be funnier if I change that by 3 frames. Idiot, no one cares.
Well, I think that's part of us doing the show daily.
Yeah.
That's a thing that we just have to get used to. Is it's like
It's more about output than
yeah.
I would say content is better than no content. Sometimes I'll like not put out a video because like I don't think it's done yet.
Yeah.
But it's like no one cares.
Yeah.
Also, people, and even though when I consume content, you just like go, boom, that was funny. All right, next. No one thinks about it as much as you do.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah. I think it's I think the other interesting thing is as we build audiences, people care about different stuff as well. So something we'll say will resonate. It's like the annoying people with the manual cut. Like people.
I mean, some people would have been like really heated listening to that earlier, and then I'm sure there's a VCAL person going like, "Oh, that's bullshit," but they probably laughed at the manual thing. They're like, you can't wank in traffic, but fuck you for talking about VCAL. And that's what I find all the time is like you talk about 4 different things in an episode, and I have no idea what's gonna be the one that really resonates.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think this one's funny, but other people might think that is. So.
Yeah. Do you? What are you gonna say?
I was just going to say, you learn quick that what you feel about something isn't how everyone else does.
For sure, and I think that's good, and that's why I always throw it out there. Like, like a lot of people, I was getting death threats for about a week, like legitimately death threats from these car guys, going like, "How dare you" and stuff, which I thought it's insane.
Yeah.
Because what I said was, if you watch the video, it's like not that bad. I was just going like, "It's the future. You're all living in the past." It's clearly a joke, and I'm getting death threats all week, and I just think like, that's.
People are weird.
People are weird, but also not everyone's going to agree with you, even when you're joking or talking about something so mundane. So like, just don't let it phase you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just don't, like, if you say your opinion for sure, but if people don't agree, you can't get mad at other people for disagreeing.
I think it also changes when you're actually in the arena and doing stuff. All of a sudden, I think your perception of other people changes too. Like, I think we're way more sort of empathetic with what people are doing, where it's like,
Yeah.
rather than getting mad, being like, oh, actually, I sort of understand. I
I've
understand
never
the struggle.
left an angry comment under anything.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've never felt the need to be like, this sucks. If I
absolutely.
don't like something, I won't even dislike a video.
Yeah.
I'll just quit out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, not for me.
Yeah.
It
It's
takes
so
a
true.
certain type to leave a scathing comment.
Even to
Or even
dislike
the
a video on
dislike- the
YouTube
dislike
is
one.
such a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, there is a, because I think about it, like the most dislikes we've had in a video might be 2 dislikes.
And you think about that at night.
No, well, I just think about, no, I think the interesting thing is it's like
man.
but it's just like,
Imagine if you got a death threat. Like, this is
well, I
Lock
think,
this place down.
Yeah.
Security guards.
yeah, definitely. Well, we're nearly there. But I think,
and after the VCAL thing, I got death threats from mums.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Well, I get it. What they're thinking their
kids
son.
like, my kid, how dare you?
their
Blah, blah,
daughter,
he tries his
yeah.
best, and you're like, hey, he doesn't try hard enough.
but I think that, yeah, it's,
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people thought I was making fun of people with learning disabilities, which
Yeah.
I absolutely wasn't.
Yeah.
And my point was VCAL is a waste of time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're dumb if you do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like it's also understanding, like, I look at the dislikes, I look at that stuff and I think like not for them. Like the stuff that we created isn't for that. Like we're not creating something for everyone. And so sometimes people will land on our video that's actually, it's not meant for them. And that's
Yes.
all they're identifying is it's like out of the whole algorithm, out of the internet,
Yeah.
they landed on it. And I guess what ends up happening, and I've noticed this with friends with brands, I had one friend the other day say, we're getting bigger. But one thing I'm noticing is there's more trolls coming out and questioning us. And it's like,
Well, the more,
Yeah.
the wider audience you reach, like think about society, you're going to like, there's a lot of fuckheads.
Yeah.
But if you've only got 10 people who you talk to, you're like, there mightn't be one fuckhead in the group.
yeah,
But if you then branch out that to 1,000 people, there's going to be
a lot
couple
of
fuckheads.
fuckheads.
Yeah, a lot of
So
fuckheads.
It's like when you go to a show and the start, I didn't used to get many hecklers in the first 2 years. Now that I'm doing bigger shows,
Yeah.
you go do like a big room in Brisbane or whatever, there's going to be one person that sucks.
yeah.
What is it like? What kind of a person is a heckler? Who's like that's
A drunk
that's a
person.
YouTube
I think drunk.
drunk, is it?
Drunk,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or drunken. They usually they're not. They don't think that they think they're contributing. No
Okay.
one actually.
Yeah.
No one really tries to. I've never got anyone going like you suck.
It's
That doesn't exist.
It's the
That's
play
like a-
fighting gone wrong. Jack
That's
Post
a
talked.
fantasy.
Yeah.
I think.
I think
I wonder if it's premeditated. I'm going to a comedy show tonight.
no. I think
I'm
it's
gonna
100% project. I think it's like their projecting experience that they're having, and I guess like Jack Post talks about it, where it's like on H&A they could be play fighting, and then on Instagram he'll do a post, and then someone will be trolling him about something, whether it's his house or whatever it is, and it just misses the mark.
Yeah.
And it's based on they see the play fighting.
Yeah.
They're just a bit fucking socially awkward.
Yeah, people don't know how to. Some people just aren't funny, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But then they come in. I get that a lot. Like some people can try and get a lot of comments, and I know they're trying to be funny and they're trying to have a playful dig at you.
Yeah.
But like they just say something like so unfunny and so boring that you're like, oh, this just like
Yeah.
reflects more on your personality
Yeah.
than it does my video.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing with the heckler thing. I think a lot of people think they're contributing, but I don't think anyone goes out of their way to ruin it. Usually, I think it's like a lot of people though, because it is a glorified thing of like comedian versus heckler.
Heckler, yeah.
A lot of people who don't know a lot about comedy go like, I get a lot of, oh bro, I'm gonna heckle you. Like I get messages going, man, when you come to Albury, just bought tickets. I'm gonna heckle you, bro. Ha ha ha. And it's like,
Yeah.
but they don't.
Absolutely
They
not.
don't. But they do think it's like a cool thing
Yeah,
they
yeah.
could do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Death threats are
sometimes.
just banter. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of people do like go, oh bro, I'm gonna heckle you, and then they don't, or they do, and then they go, oh. And they realize as soon as they've yelled something at, they're like, oh, this isn't for me.
Just back right down.
I think a lot of people fantasize the idea of being a funny heckler in
Yeah,
their head.
yeah,
then
yeah.
they yell something out, no one laughs, and they go, okay,
They're
you do the jokes.
Well,
done.
the whole setup is usually the comedian comes out on top. That's the whole thing with hecklers,
Yeah.
And
right?
you're the one with the microphone.
Exactly.
And the
It's like
stage.
you
all
and
that
the
stuff.
audience that
Yeah.
probably like
And
you.
Everyone's, especially if it's your show, everyone's
Yeah,
paid
yeah,
to
yeah.
see you, not seeing the guy who no one's paid $30 to see some dude yell out.
Luke Kidgell, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks so much for having me.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, but also type in Luke and Lewis on Apple Podcasts. Is it a new feed that you're having to start?
Same feed.
Oh, that's
So
convenient.
you can go back and catch up on all the radio if you really want. A year and a half of us disrespecting commercial radio station. If you want to go listen to that,
I think it'd be interesting. I'm curious to hear the contrast.
So am I.
Yeah.
Who knows what it's going to be? I'm very excited about it. That's all I know. And
awesome.
we also use the same sign people as you, so we're going to have a really good sign.
Yeah, they're great people. It's a daily talk show. If you listen this far, do a screen grab, do an Insta story, tag us up, even tag Luke up so he knows that you've listened as well.
Tag me.
Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. It's Fat Fridays tomorrow. I have no idea what we've got planned.
It's going to be fat.
Something savoury, maybe. I feel like savoury.
It's not fat enough.
We did Ben and Jerry's last week, so
Ooh.
we'll see. It's a daily talk show.
Just see what Will Am brings in.
Yeah, he's got the chocolate.
It's
Sorry,
actually the
forgot.
chocolate.
probably
it's
chocolate.
It's favourites.
I know for a fact he has it in his rider.
See you tomorrow, guys.
See you guys.